All right, let's go. Here we go one more time. Let's see. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello there. Well, who do we got out there? We got a ton of people out there already. Badzilla, Iceman, Barry, 1949, KW, and I see NC Raiders, Chris 15771, Bravo, just a ton of people. Good evening. If you missed last broadcast where we were doing a little bit of multi-fruit stuff. Hey, Sire, and KJB Farmer, and Bravo Chick. Good to see you all tonight. So we did a little bit of multi-fruit, showed you how we go right through the whole process of adding a fruit. And I'm going to show you a few of the fruits that we added this time around. Starting with, let's see what we got. If I can get this thing working here. All right. I'm not going to cover sugarcane because we've done that previously, but there are a few new ones this time around, as well as a couple that I reworked. So what we added was the sorghum, which I believe I showed you, the sorghum, oat, and rye. But what you don't know, you have not seen, is mustard I added in this time. So you can harvest mustard seed. Peanuts, we're going to show you some peanuts today, and millet has been reworked with new textures, as well as the sorghum, actually. I reworked the textures of that one last night. And lavender. So I'm going to go through each one. Let's see if we can find a sorghum field here. And we'll jump over to field 29. Might have to do some waiting as we watch these. That one looks pretty good. So there's the reworked sorghum. It looks very similar to last year, but the files are updated so that you can literally see all the effects on the headers and everything. So let's start a mission and see if we can show you what that looks like tonight. And then we'll go through each of these, and then I'm going to show you all the extra work that we did on the map. And if we have time later, I'll probably just jump in and continue where I left off today, which there's a lot to show you guys, so I don't know how long it's going to take. But let's, when possible, I'm not going to go through all, and I do have to do the distance textures on all of these still yet. They're not done, but as far as working products in the map, you can see how the sorghum goes right into the header. Looks pretty cool. I mean, every one of the ones I have in here still needs their distance textures added in, which will come down the road. But I wanted to get the products into the map and make sure that they are in. So the sorghum has been reworked. Every one of them that from the old style has to be reworked so that I can get the particles into the combines and stuff so they can be shown, get the full effect of it. Now, one thing I will tell you that I did come across is there are more fill types in the map. Once I hit 64, which isn't a lot because I believe the game now, with all the new fill types that they've added at Giants, has 50 something. I think it's 53 default ones, so 11 is 64, and it's supposed to take 64 fruit types, which it will, but each fruit type creates a fill type, and it's supposed to take 256 fill types. But once I got past the 64 fill types, we will be we get to the point where it throws an error. And thanks for the host there, by the way, Badzilla. So it throws an error and the map won't load up, and there is no error in the error log, and there's got to be something that either I'm missing that is new that has to be done, or a multi-fruit script has to be written once again for this version. So with that, thanks, Iceman. I'll get back to you a little bit later. I'll read your message in full. All right. We're going to jump over to give you another look at the next one on the list. And also, I'm focusing on adding... Oops, where are we? You can see some more fields drawn in that haven't been marked yet, but they're getting there. Let's see. We want to jump over to mustard, which is completely new. So mustard fields are... Oh, let's try 12, a bigger field, and see what if we have any mustard growing on there. We do. So there is your mustard seed plant, fully grown. Once we failed... Oh, now I got to jump back over there. I didn't know that was going to happen, but hey. Let's visit it again. Hey there, RS Focus 1981. Glad you can make it tonight. So mustard plant, looking pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Let's grab a combine and show you what that looks like. And we'll do the mission here as well. And again, you can see the distance textures don't match yet. That all has to be worked out, but this is actually on one of the fields that we built, one of the new fields, the one that we did a couple nights ago. The first one that's marked, actually. So, mustard. I'm unfolding the combine, just go with it. So you can see already, and some of the combine headers do this. They get a little bit funky as it's... The bigger ones seem to have bigger issue, but you can see the mustard getting brought right into the combine on the header, going right up the middle. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty pleased with the way the mustard came out. And the different growth stages all look different and unique, but you can see the leftover pieces behind there on the field. And the mustard seed is actually, if we can get a close-up, zoom in, you can see there's a new texture for mustard seed. It actually does look like several of the crop, but it is a little bit different, so you'll be able to, once you get used to it, tell the difference between mustard and some of the other ones as well. So that is the mustard. And then the next few I'm going to probably have to get some equipment for and buy the fields. So let's see what else we have. Yeah, you can see the mustard piling up. And everything piles up on the fields as well. Although you can't do it in mission, I don't think. No, you can't do a unload here with a mission, which would have been cool if I could, but then you could steal all the crop. But it will unload and go into piles and look just like it does in the hopper there. Alright, so let's go on to show you the next one. But there's your mustard field, ready to be harvested. Let me get out of the mission first before we crash the mission, before I jump to another field this time. Because it makes you go right back to where it was. Hey Def Gamer and everybody else. Alright, so mission failed again. I fail a lot of missions during testing. Next one on the list. And this is interesting, a little bit buggy, but if you notice, you gotta kind of, when you come back in here, flip the menu again to get the right fruits to match. But it's easy enough to do. Peanuts. This one here is going to be on field 17. It looks like we have some peanuts. Let's take a jump over there. There's the peanut plants. And believe it or not, that's pretty much how they look. A little bit different. But we're going to need to get some equipment for this one. Get me some money, lots of money. And let's buy some the field. Notice it's going to take a special header, so when it's in the final stage, you won't get a mission to harvest your peanuts, but you will get the fertilizer mission. So I left this as one of those mission capable crops, so you can at least do the fertilizing and stuff. But what you're going to need when the time comes is your Homer Pterodos, which I will buy one of those. as well as, if you see, there's a peanut header. The Big Daddy did a pretty decent job, so we're going to buy the peanut header. And pick them up at the store. Whoops, there it is. And take a ride over to, let me get that mini map up. It's 17 right up there. We'll do a little bit of peanuts and show you how they look as well. If I can get this thing, it's sensitive steering, and I'm not even steering with my steering wheel. I'm steering with the keyboard. Here, let's try the steering wheel. It's a little easier. And watch out for the car. I don't pay attention to traffic, as you guys know. So let's just cut across here. And get down there where the peanuts will be. And see if we can get this thing running. Unfold harvester. Let's see if it's done. Peanuts, the last couple growth stages look a little bit close to each other. Oh, it's good. It's actually right in the last growth stage. So fire this bear up and harvest some peanuts. And you do not have to top the peanuts. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to get it done, but maybe later on we'll figure it out. But right now, we do not have to top the peanuts, even though this header could do topping if I could get it to work. So here's the peanuts being harvested. And you can see they actually, well, we'll get a close-up once we get a little bit more in there, show you what peanuts are going to look like. And that gives us a whole bunch of new stuff to work with. And another reason to keep this these combines. I don't know if the combine will need to be released, because we could just release the header and you could put it on the in-game combine. Don't necessarily need to have the combine, but you can see the particle effects of the peanuts too down in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see it. Whoops, that's going to be an issue. Okay, let's try that again. Trying to hit the right button, but you can actually, let's get rid of that mini map. If I can hit the right key and look inside the header, you can see it's actually ripping out the stuff out of the ground there and going into sending the peanuts up into the belts. So it's working pretty cool looking. And without spending all day on this one, so much work to do, we're gonna jump over to another one in just a couple minutes. But I will give you a close-up view of peanuts in the combine before we get moving on to the next one. You can see there actually are peanut plane piling up, which looks pretty cool. We can have peanut butter, we can have all sorts of things now. That's my goal, is to get a few different items in the game. Might have to take a break and see if we can get past that 64 fill type limit problem that we're having. Because right now I'm at the limit, believe it or not, and I have very little fruit types in there and only a couple fill types, far, far fewer than I actually want to have. So peanuts are in, and with that we will check out the, let's see what else we have. We have the millet on field 18 right here, a reworked millet texture for, well, the millet's been reworked for the field, and it looks a little bit similar, but we'll take a, oh, we can actually harvest. It's cool that most of the fields when you first start a game can actually be done. Let's start the mission on this one too. So there's your millet texture now. Very similar. The groupings are done a little bit differently, and it's just to get it to work with the headers. And it's actually, I think they all look just a little bit better in game than they did last year. All the ones that are being reworked. So they definitely, with the extra features on the combines and stuff, show up pretty cool. So let's see what we got here for this. You can see, again, the actual millet going right into the combine there and right up inside. The grain plane texture on the millet is the same as last year. All the texture for the millet. Nothing wrong with that one. But yeah, I really like the realism that I'm able to get out of it this year. And while it is a few extra steps like we went through on Monday, it's definitely worth the work to get it looking a lot, you know, all those extra particle effects and the piles and everything. Get them to look exactly how we want them. So that is the millet field. And next up is the last of the new ones, last of the new crop types, which will be the lavender. Lavender on field 11, I think. No, that looks like oat. Where is that lavender? I don't even know if we have lavender. It doesn't look like I do. Oat. Well, it looks like lavender isn't there, so we'll get a seeder, plant some lavender right on this field because we're close to the store, and then we'll do some fast forward time and grow our lavender. Let me get a little bit let me get out of here so I'm in mission mode. Get out of mission mode. Come on. There we go. Yeah, we definitely like to have our mods and everything. And again, all this stuff in here, everything other than some of the materials that I actually deactivated, those warnings, they can go away once we get because I put all those fill planes in for several of the materials, but I can't keep adding stuff to the map right now, and they can easily be taken out. So we do have warnings in there because the fill planes and stuff are in for crops that I don't have activated right now. But when it all sorts out, either I'll have to take them out or we'll be able to keep them in and activate everything that we have going. So yeah, there are some warnings right now, but they're simple ones. Everything else has been error-free. Alright, so I can get in my store now. I have plenty of money. Why do I want more money? And what I need to do is I need to get a tractor and a seeder. So let's get something pretty decent. What do I want to buy? Oh, I don't know. I like the Massey here. We'll get the big one with the wide tires for that. And I need to have a seeder that will take, let's see if I can find, alright, so you can see lavender is here on this end. We'll take that seeder. We'll plant up some lavender right over the top of this field. Not a lot, just enough to show you guys. Where is it? Where's that tractor? There it is. Just enough to show you guys what it looks like and how it's going to be harvested, which is another more interesting part of the whole thing. And how it grows. Lavender was a little bit tricky actually to get in here with the adjustments that I needed to make. So I ended up, I might need to get some seed. I don't know if I can seed over the top. Let's grab some seed up before we go over there. Would be the smart thing to do. Hired worker might be able to work on it over the top of the other crop, but I'm not sure. So let's go to pallets and grab ourselves a couple seed bags. See if we can fill this thing up a little bit. And you can see seed piling up in there. There we go, 3,000. Good to go. Watch out for those cars. Ah, I'm looking at chat again. All right. Let's get some lavender planted, and then we'll get it to grow. And again, I think the lavender might need a little bit more work to it. It was the last one I did, but the end product is exactly what I wanted to do. So we'll give that a look here. Lower sower, please. And it's on. Let's get some seed down here. Right over the top of our peanuts. And I'm just going to do a pretty quick few rows so you can get the feel for what the lavender is going to look like and how it's going to work. See HC out there, Gordon Leon Marks. Why does it say, oh, because I'm an idiot, that's why. So let's get the yeah, that's why. There we go. Let's plant lavender and not rape. That would be a smart thing to do. Yeah. We don't want that. You guys got to keep me on my toes. That would have been the weirdest thing if it started growing. I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? So we're planting lavender. And we'll have rape in this field and who knows what else. Look at the funky grass texture back there. What happened there? Oh, it's probably, I don't know. The distance textures are just a little bit weird right now. Yeah, we've got plans for lavender. And we've also made lavender, did some research to see how it actually is harvested. So, yeah, it's not exactly 100%, but I think what we came up with is relatively realistic enough. So, I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. Now, lavender has an interesting growth stage. It only has... it has a weird distance texture on my gravel or something going on. I must have messed up. I'll have to check that out. But with that, we will jump out of here, set my timer going, and hopefully we'll get some lavender to grow. But while that's growing, we have plenty of time. I got to go get our new harvesting equipment for lavender. So let me get this out of the way. And purchase what you're going to need. You are going to need to do lavender one of these things right here. I suppose we'll grab the Krone Big X 580, sounds good. And then you're going to need, when we do release the map, this Chrome Disc 620 modded Lavendera version. I know you put an A on the end of lavender, but we're going to grab one of those. And something to have it go into. I think we can use this one. Let's see, can we make it a different color? I like to experiment with the different colors when I do these things. So yeah, let's see what it looks like that. It still hasn't started growing. It takes a while. It's got really very few growth stages. In the third stage it's ready. It will stay there for a very, very long time as well, but the growth stages are quite long. So it does have a little bit of different growth pattern. And a lot of it has to do with just me trying to figure out a way to get everything to work the way I want it in the stages. Lining up the actual visuals of the stages to be correct. I might rework it a little bit more. It's very tricky when you don't know where it's going to pull the different stages from. So we're going to go down here and watch it grow if we can. I can try to speed it up a little bit with the super fast forward mod, but that often just messes things up. We'll go forward a day and see what happens. Hopefully we have lavender planted. It should kick in. I believe I had the header down on the ground, right? Yeah, nothing. See, when you fast forward with the time fast forward mod, stuff still doesn't kick over, which is kind of weird. Now I know it's there, and there it goes. So we have lavender starting right next to our rape right there. And I'm going to just let it go because it'll catch up with the fast forward mod till we get our lavender to grow. PV17 is going terrific. Hey, Mies Man and Year of the Chuck. Gordon Leon Marks. So we're going to just get through the lavender and then we'll move on to showing you what else is done, because this is the last of the crops. I wanted to show you guys if we can get it to grow. I think we'll go a little fast forward. It is a long process to grow. It isn't actually as long as it's going to look by fast forwarding through a few days. It's just that super fast forward doesn't quite kick in. So it's up one more stage, and that stage is the only one I'm not so sure. That's the way the graphic came to me, with the white stage built in it. I think I might change that around. But the important thing is, if I can get it, is to get the lavender to harvesting stage, which should come along anytime now. Yeah, the multi-fruit mod still has issues. Can't get past 64 fill types yet, but hopefully somebody will figure that out if I don't figure it out first. But like I said, I still got so much other stuff to do that I'll just wait and see what shakes out before I get there. Alright, so there's our lavender. Nice and pretty lavender field. That's pretty cool. Let's get our combine over here. Let's stop the time before it gets too dark. And we need to change our tool selection to lower our header and pipe out, and what else do I need to do? Turn on the harvester. There we go. Alright, so when you're harvesting your lavender, you definitely need this X-Disc header, and it's a forage product, as you can see. Colors to be worked out a little bit later. I think it needs to be a little bit lighter. But you will be able to forage your lavender with this special Chrome X disc header. So it's kind of cool. A little bit bright on the purple side, but it's what I want to get. Actually, just got to tone it down a notch so it matches the crop on the field a little bit better. But I had to create those textures all from scratch because they didn't exist. So it's coming out pretty good. The jury's out. If you think the color needs to be muted a little bit in the trailer, or if you like the way it is, but it is foraged lavender. And it's just a new way to get a new product into the map, which is something I want you to be able to use these other pieces of equipment that don't get as much use with some cool new ideas, you know? So yeah. Why do you need a modded header? Interestingly enough, that's a good question. There are a few types of headers that have category groups built into the game this year. They are your standard cutter, which you can add it to a regular cutter. You can add it to the corn cutter, which is another one that is built into the game as well. And you can add something automatically to the grass cutters as well. But the additional headers don't have a group that you can just add it to it and have it automatically appear unless you have a modded one. So we will have a couple of additional modded headers in the game just because that's the way it's going to work. I wanted to do it the right way. They don't have a group for forage products for the forage wagon that I could specify this type of header, and this is the header that we decided that would go best with it. Let me see if I can unclick this here. Let's see. Pipe in and can I get rid of this trailer? Q. I'm gonna get a truck and tip that thing and see how it looks on the ground. Here, we'll just grab this tractor right here and head over and dump our lavender out. Alright, find a nice place here. Unload here in our dirt. So there you go. Everything works the same way. Works very well. We have a pile of lavender on the ground that you can move around. So yeah, I thought it would add some color to your crops on the fields as well, and it definitely has a texture problem with its distance textures affecting everything that's around it. So I do have some more work to do on it, but it's one of the things we'll definitely have in there. Let's go check out what else here. Let's put this down, and I want to grab for you guys another piece of equipment, a little bit slower, but we're going to take a look at some of what we did. And another one of the things that's coming this year, a new way of doing things. I'm going to grab a wheel loader. We'll grab the JCB. I want to get the front twins. Yeah, let's try those out. With a shovel. And this is in the very early stages of what I'm going to be doing, but when you see how I have to do it, you will understand why it's not done yet. Let's take a ride out, show you some of the new stuff. You're probably going to notice, here we'll shut this menu off, you're probably going to start noticing the landscape out here really taking more and more as time goes on as I'm filling things in. We're going to go out this little... What's the lavender for? We have some product ideas. You shall see. Not 100% sure what's going to work out, but it's just a new product. Now this one here, I'm going to show you a few things. We're going to go through this tunnel. You're going to notice that in the distance in areas, especially it's starting to get more and more landscape drawn in, and the trees are starting to come in and around this area as well. There's still big areas that need to be worked on for sure, but it's definitely starting to fill in and look pretty good. So we're going to head on down here to our farm. Just give you a quick look at how the landscape is coming out around here. Here, we'll cut across a little bit. We've got lots more mountain type ranges in here to make it so that you can do these fields that are down in there. You're gonna want to use the roads, which is what I'm trying to get across to everybody. Follow your roads. There's not a lot of quick crossovers. It's really coming together pretty nicely as we build around this area. The farm over here has a lot more trees on it as well, all the way around. I'm not going to go way down there. You can just kind of get an idea in the distance of just how much more wooded the scenery is in the background, and how everything is just kind of closing in around the farms and making them, you know, seem like they're out there just like in the rest of the map. It's its own little hideaway location with the fields on the other side. And a lot of the ground underneath where the trees are around here, again, is that ground where you can literally carve your own roads and build your own buildings. So you'll be able to do quite a bit of the sculpting yourself, as I discussed in the last couple videos as well. So let's go over to what I've been working on, and why do I have this shovel. And, by the way, you'll notice the silo is missing. It's temporarily been moved to another location, and we're going to show you that location. Thanks, Def Gamer. I really appreciate it, and I wish I could take a minute to just say thanks. Here, I can do that, cause you guys will wait. But let me jump back in. All right, so landscape, that's the outer edge. You'll see a lot more of this is filling in down here as well. Starting to look quite different than you guys probably remember seeing this whole area up here. This is changing a lot, and this is where I've been working my way around the map. We have some pretty good sized fields, but our lake down here is what I want to show you guys today, because this is gonna be pretty crucial, and there is a reason why that silo is there, and it's because it is filled with 10 million sand. And what I'm doing is I am backfilling these ponds down in here with, until I'm hoping I can get it so you don't see the water. But if you look right underneath right now, you can see that you're going to be scooping off the bottom actual product for your sand and stuff. Now I got to work the particle effects on the sand and everything. It's not in there, but the sand's in the shovel. And you're going to, hopefully this whole sandy lake will be filled in. Your sand is going to come out of that lake. You can move it around just like any other product. I am going to fill it as fast as I can, but you can see you'll be almost like dredging and digging out the lake as you collect your sand once I get the level up a lot higher. So Yeah, you can drive in and just scrape along the bottom and try to find the sand. There's a little bit. There's a million, actually a million sand in here already. I did 1 million just for testing purposes. But you have to kind of drive around and like I am now and get it out of there. And you have your sand. You could see I'm riding over it. A million sand in here, and it looks like that little level area. I figure I want to have enough sand in here. If I can get that angle back, looking under the water, you can see how much I have. I'm guessing it's going to be 10 to 20 million just to get it up, but I'm going to fill up as much of this lake as I think we will need so you guys can never run out. The way you do that is to do it manually by hand. Whoops, I'm rolling over. Do it manually by hand, and now I probably drown my vehicle. Come on, you can get up. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And make it so that you can dig it out as deep as you want. I just put another pile right there. But Sandy Bottom Lake. Sandy Bottom. There's the name for the lake, Sandy Bottom. Yep, future mining will be at beach, as well as, let's take a ride around and show you a little bit more of all this new work. And you can see there's a whole new mountain range in here, dividing us from getting to the main highway all of a sudden. So there's going to be some looking around for roads, and trying to figure out which way do I want to go. I don't know. We can use the railroad track. Actually, the best way would be to get back up and go over the bridge. So definitely a little bit different looking way of getting around the map that you probably aren't used to, with some of my maps being wide open and you could just haul your butt around right straight across all the fields. So we got a tunnel here that we're going to go across, and you can see it's filling in quite nicely around here. Back to the main highway. Which we will take a left, and we're going to show you something that has just started. Give you an idea of what's going to happen over here. So we'll take a left-hand turn and go down into some more of the new area that's been being worked out here. Definitely a lot of blank places to be filled in, but you know, we got a lot of factories and different things, so there is going to be a lot of... And thank you there, Mythkill, for the follow as well. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I just need to leave blank spaces so we know we have room for all that cool stuff coming. And welcome, Meesman. Thank you for hosting the stream. So over here in this little area there's going to be, and this was Andre, one of our players, has it in his smaller version of a map. He built a swamp for swamp logging. But so over here we're going to have a swampy area down in here with the dead trees, and yeah, we're going to have quite a bit of stuff over here as well. But one of the things I'm going to also add to the swamp is you're going to be able to dig muck out of the swamp with the shovel. It's not in yet, but I want to build a dark muck mud. I guess it's called black something or other for those in the UK, black soil or black. But it's going to be mucky swamp stuff that is great for turning into fertilizer, and we'll have a process for that as well. So you'll have this whole swamp area filled in with some muck to be done, just like the other silt. Yep, silt. There's so many different names for it, but it'll definitely be filled in around here where you can go and dig up some and dig in the swamp, as well as those dead trees that you see are gonna, and decorative grasses and stuff are gonna make this look as swampy as I possibly can. And there will be some fallen trees. Andre also tested that to see if we could have some fallen trees just laying down in the swamp. So over the next who knows how long, you'll start to see this swamp. But you can see one of the dead trees on the map right there already. And there will be all sorts, so you'll be able to come down in here and do some swamp logging as well as digging up the mud and all that cool stuff. So I wanted to show you a little bit of that. It's been pretty busy for seeing you guys on Monday and adding all this stuff in. I've got I've got quite a bit, but lots and lots more to go. And just some interesting ways you have to follow to get around the map now too, as everything's starting to draw in. As you can see, there's all new. We're heading over toward the other farm that's out here somewhere. I can't even remember where it is, and I build this map. There's another farmhouse. It's over there somewhere. We have roads that go down underneath the bridges here. Just different ways to get around things everywhere you go. And some new mountain ranges that are just starting to appear and get their work done. So you can see, to help break up the landscape a little bit, we've got another one coming in right here that doesn't have the trees and stuff on it. We've got a lot of area along the train rails for sell points and stuff as well. I think there's a sell point right back here already. The one that was toward the inside of the map was moved to the outside, and it's kind of hiding back here in this little corner. And lots more to grass to paint through here. But as I get closer to the other farm down here, I started, and we're gonna have to move some gold nuggets, because there's something. I don't even know what the heck that is. It's not a gold nugget. Is that something I left behind or something peeking through? I'll have to check that out. Yeah, something. Object of some sort sticking through the ground there. But we're going down toward this farm, and lots and lots more space. It's amazing how big the map actually is when you start trying to fill it in. And even though I think I'm approaching close to the amount of fields I want on it for each of these farms. Holy moly! NC Raider, so thank you so much for the $10 donation. Scared me. I'm not used to those little pop-ups coming up. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So there's a lot of buildings and stuff and specialty silos and stuff that have to go in. If you guys notice, the sawmills are out, and we're going to start getting into that stuff pretty soon, adding them one at a time as we build up these farms. But this farm here has its own set of fields, and it's kind of pretty interesting because without even having the markings on the map, you kind of get a feel for which fields are owned by which farms just by their ease of access to them and the ones that are right adjacent to them. So there's some big fields in here as well for this farm, as you can see. And it's not always, I mean, that one's huge. If you guys are huge field farmers, you're going to like this, but there are also some small ones as well that you will be able to link together. A little bit smaller. Nothing super small, because this is probably one of the smallest fields on this farm, but it's a good size field to farm on. And you have that crazy mountainous divider, so if you wanted to see the other side, you're going to have to go back. Brain0169, thank you for the follow. And there's another field over here. Trees will start to appear. A lot of the ground around these areas, and I mean a lot, is that ground that has the field layer underneath it right through here, which allows you to do the roller. So if you have a large flat area on the side of something like we do through here, it'll be planted with trees, but it's a lot of that extra terrain that's around these areas now has it so that if you use that roller, you'll be able to carve out your own roads and build your own greenhouse sections. Same way with on this side, you can see it right through here. It's all area that you can will be wooded and have grass if you want to keep it a field. You can see it all the way down. But you will also be able to carve your own little paths and put your own barns and whatever you decide you want for placeable objects. Your bee farms or whatever, windmill farms. You can design it literally however you want it in a lot of these locations once you clear the land, which is something I always wanted to do. We never could quite get there. But this year we get to do a lot more. A lot more of that type of stuff. And there's one huge field that goes across the back here. And this is all going to look a lot better once we get the trees and stuff growing around it too. I've been working on the grass, as you can see. It's in some places around here, as well as missing in some places. But this whole farm has kind of its own little area, and there are some wavy field places. They're gonna get some more detail to the fields down the road as well, so they're not all completely fat. And I don't even know if you guys notice some of it I've already been added in. But all this area here again is you can build your own road system or put your own orchards or whatever you want to do, or you could just actually use it as fertilized grass to fill up your BGAs. And it's really we wrapped around the map corner over here. There's definitely areas that still need to be worked on. I'm almost done with figuring out where fields are going. We've got the new mountain range over here that actually is separating you guys from seeing where the city's going to be on the other side of it. And a little bit of a dirt path road that's going to cut through over here. And I left off over here, so there's a lot, but you could see that the whole city, and there's going to be a lot of your factories and stuff down in this whole section where the city's going to be built up, or the neighborhood area, very large neighborhood down there. So I just wanted to get you guys caught up with where we are. You could see there's going to be quite the set of mountains right along the side of the streets that we have here. This should start filling in eventually. I think because it's going to be mostly buildings, this will probably be, all this area is probably going to be built up while the guys are playing on the server, testing out all those fields and stuff that I put in. So pretty soon, it's getting closer. But just to kind of give you guys some idea of what it's going to look like, you've got that whole range right there is separating the other side. So you can try to drive over it, and I'm sure some of you will, but it just now seems more convenient to use your roadways as you go through here. And we will wrap back up over here. You can see some of the cool views. I mean, I think there's a lot of cool views, and once the trees are up and everything, you'll have a lot more. All the street lights and everything that have to come into the roads, the main highways, and the trains that wind around through the landscape. I'm really liking the way that this whole thing is starting to come out. It's possible my donation ticker could be foobarred again. It was working when I started. If you think there's no more buildings to build. Well, the building of buildings is one of those things that we rely heavily on the universal process kit. It's the only way I know how to do it. So we're going to put some stuff in, but you know me, you guys. If over time, they might end up coming back in if we could get that. There's so much to do before I even get there. So we're going to start bringing stuff in, and we're going to give it a different feel too. But I do like the building projects. It's just that down the road, we'll probably add some of them in. They're going to be done a little bit differently, not as Uh, not as consuming as some of them, but yeah, we're going to definitely get the mining and stuff in here. So we shall see on how it turns out. But I hope you like what you see so far. It's got a long way to go. You'll have a swamp down there off that side and a lot more trees planted over there as well. But you can see the landscape is just really starting to come together with the different features built in throughout this whole side. I mean, I think this side is one of the biggest areas that I've worked on, largest chunks of the map anyway. I love the way the shadows are casted onto the road as you're coming down through this area. So much to do, but I needed a break to show, so what the heck? Driving around to show you guys a little more. Just giving you different angles of how it's starting to look. I love what I see. I hope you guys really like it. Uh, very soon I'll hopefully have all the fields drawn and all the grass drawn, and then we'll just start working in some of the specialty buildings, and we'll show you how those all get installed as well. All the mountain ranges. I mean, literally, it's a whole different look from when you guys were here. There's so much new that has come in here just in the past couple days with really getting into the terrain setup that it's pretty interesting for me, at least. I really I think I'm putting a lot more thought into what the terrain is actually looking like this time than I have in the past, and how the farms and everything relate to each other and where everything goes. So yeah, if it doesn't have all the factories and building stuff in there from the beginning, the products will be in here hopefully, and we'll get them some pretty cool looking and fun farming. Look at all the fields down in there. I mean, it's just going to be pretty cool. There's where the main distribution hub will be, right down in that little area where the trucking company and the train company come to meet together. And lots of area that still needs to be developed, but again, a lot of it has to be saved so that we can figure out what's going to be where. I mean, this is a whole huge area. There's so many ideas that we want to try that if some of these areas I leave here because I look at this area and it's like, wow, perfect area for an airport if we ever had planes that could fly again. But I don't want to take up too much space with an airport that doesn't. But it would be perfect because it's connected to the whole train system and where the trucking area, and then you could have airport for flying cargo right there if we decide to do that down the road. But last time I put an airport in a map, the planes would never realize, so it's not. It's just going to be there for a while, that whole little area down there, till I see if I need it for anything else. Yeah, I think it is. You guys have watched it literally piece by piece start coming together, but this whole area, there's so much in this area that you could see hasn't been done yet. And it's really deciding when do I have enough fields and what I'm going to do with the rest of that land that is left over through here. Some of it will be more mountain ranges, just to divide up the landscape. This will all get painted in. I think we need a few more fields off of this farm over here. I'm just kind of checking it out right now. See how many we have. But the farms are literally separated. As you can see, there's a long way between this farm's fields and the other farm's fields, and on those outskirts is where we'll have some train stations and some shops and some of that cool stuff. So you literally get the feel for, and if I pull up the map here real quick, actually this map, you could see Farm 1, Farm 2, Farm 3, and Farm 4, and then the other two are pretty much going to be a split of what's in the middle, 5 and 6. And I'm just kind of working this area. I mean, there's no need for having yellow boundaries and stuff around the farms this time, because we're going to keep building them out until I feel each farm has enough fields that are associated to it. This one does have quite a few. It wraps all the way around there, but they break up. Just looking at the map, you can see which farms belong to which, which fields belong to each of the farms. Lavender and peanuts are on your boring agenda. Lavenders, peanuts, millet. You'll have to rewind if you're just getting here. The sand is in the map and starting to get. As a matter of fact, I will show you exactly what I have to do with that sand. I got to fill it all up by hand. I got to test my silo, but let's check out. I'm just doing a little bit of a tour around the whole outside again. Seeing what I have to do. There's another farm there in the distance with some fields that wrap all the way down this side. Lots of trees in an area that needs to be planted around here as well. Manu, I do not have a date for release because of how much stuff is going into the map, and just don't know when it's going to be finished. I want to have a really good, complete product for the first time around. Yeah, there's always stuff that comes in after release. When I get it comfortable feeling that we have a really good, solid map that you guys are going to love, then we will release it as soon as we get it there. But there's a long way to go, and I told everybody here that you're probably looking for some time around March-ish. Could be sooner, you never know, but you have a... Whoops, I don't even know how to play basketball. But each of your farms has a little bit of different stuff, so if you live here at this house, you can throw the balls out of the fence. You have your own basketball court in your backyard. I'm thinking, I'm not making any promises, but I'm thinking, what is it? Almost December, January, February. I'd like to see the first release by March. There's a reason behind that too. In March, we're going to get a sneak preview for those of us who have done cattle and crops, and I'm hoping I can jump in there and check out and see how their modding works as well, and maybe jump into doing my next map over there and giving. But we can't abandon Farm Sim. That's just never going to happen. But definitely with cattle and crops coming out in March, a lot of you guys that are going to want to give it a try as well, and yeah, I'll be doing both of them. So I would hope to have it finished up by March at the latest. Let me go to... Oh yeah. Let me go do some work. First, let's get to another day, because I like daylight. And past the fog. Alright. Let me jump into my store. That's the button. Get me some cash. I need to get myself a truck. This is work. This is what I got to do. One of the things I got to do, so I might as well grab it up and get myself a big tipper. And head on over to my lake side and see if my stuff's in the silo over there. I hope it is. I hope there's not a limit capacity. to my silo. Yeah, I'd love to get this done completely before the release of Cattle and Crops. And then take a look. You know, we're all going to want to look into that. Well, you never know what the game's going to look like when it first comes out, but for modders and features, it looks pretty promising right now, and it might give Farm Sim a run for their money. We don't know, but I'd like to see what we can do with it. You see how the cars there just whip right around in the middle of the road because the splines aren't done out here yet. But they will be. We'll have the traffic all running out here as well. Cattle and Crops is another farming game made up by several of the great modders from the farm sim community decided to create their own game, and they know what we want. I mean, we're talking about people like Upside Down, who's done so many mods that I can't even name the ones that he's using, that he's created. Now, I do know that there are no sand textures on the sand yet, but the silo holds 10 million. I mean, no particle effects. I got to add those in. So you've got Upside Down. You've got the people that created Courseplay working on Cattle and Crops, as well as several of the really good modders coming together, along with some game designers to make a new farming game to hopefully compete. And hey, it's only good for us. Giants has a little competition, and they both have decent games. Then we can probably start seeing better and more advanced features coming into these farming games down the road. So this is my job. I need to have this open so I can see what I'm doing, but I have to fill this whole darn lake with this 10 million sand. Anybody else want to do it for me? So I just drive in and start dumping. Unload 10 million sand. I'm not going to do all 10 million here while you guys are here. I'm just going to do a little before I jump out of the game and then show you how to get it so that it's in part of your default map. That's really the point. But I do have 10 million sand I have to dump, so while I'm here, I'm going to do it. Yep, competition never hurts. If they're competing for our money rather than being the one place getting it all. Oh, did I do it again? I do that. I have to stop unloading. And because I got in the trigger before it was done unloading, I need to wait till it stops and go back in the trigger again, I think. There we go. Oh, I wish you could draw it S7, but unfortunately, there is no way to... I have not figured out how to do it. Does anyone else suffer with lag from the bloody tree trunks again like FS15? There are definitely some lag issues with trees moving around on the maps. A lot worse than FS15 was. I mean, FS15 was at the end. They got a lot of it worked out, but it's definitely not as good as that was. That's for sure. So tree trunks, again, looks like we'll probably be doing a lot of reset the tree file type thing as we go through over time. Let me dump some more sand in. It's not the easiest way to do it, but see all the pain and heartache I have to go through? You know what's funny is that I'm just putting it all here so I could watch you guys work really hard with a shovel to get it back out and laugh all the way to the bank. No, I'm only kidding. Every I'm wondering how much 10 million's actually going to fill up that lake. But it's funny because I'm going to do the work. I do the easy part. This is actually a lot easier than you guys that are going to have to dig it out later. By hand. Zach1x1, thank you for the host. But that's why I moved to Silo, because I got kind of tired with that first million driving all the way over here from the farm that's over the other side of the hill to fill up the lake with sand. I had tried for quite a bit. There is a way to raise up the terrain to the for the pile heights and stuff, but there's no way to select what product is going to be dumped there, so unfortunately, this is the only way I know how to do it. And this is what I want for mining this year, so I will fill the mines manually. Yep, sand particle systems. I don't have the particle systems in for sand at all. I don't even think you have the one on the back of the dumping. I didn't do them yet. So you could see that there's no particle systems on the back yet. They will be there. I have to just add them into the particle system file. I had literally just got sand up and running so I could start doing this in my spare time when I'm bored. Or when I'm tired of painting grass. And it's pretty cool because as you drive over it, it levels it out pretty good in there to the bottom of the water. And we just keep on filling it up. I always forget to stop unloading. You guys have that issue? Stop unloading, you forget to do it, and then you get somewhere and you start using your forage wagon, and as you're picking it up, everything goes on the ground right behind you. Mod a trailer. Interesting thing about that is I'd have to mod the weight of the sand as well, because believe me, sand, you're going to know it when you're hauling sand, because this trailer barely moves to get going. You might not realize it right now, but it takes a little bit to get this trailer moving. I'm going to just do a few more loads in here, and then we'll save it, and I'll show you guys how to transfer whatever products you put on the map. So if you want to put starting products or heaps on your map, how to get it so that they're in your starting map file. Am I modding alone this map? No, not exactly. The map itself, the work I'm doing inside the map is me and pretty much only me for the layout and design and stuff. I got a great group of people that have been with me from the start of, well, way back to FS 2013, some of them, but some others that have come along in the process, and they do support a lot of the extra functions. They're testing things like the new stuff that's coming out right now, the pig feed mixer and the sawmills, and all that stuff is being tested and reworked and fixed and whatever they got to do to get it ready. So when I'm ready for it, that saves me a ton. Those guys are definitely a big part of this whole project, as well as they test the map once I get it up on the server, start planning it, and we just start playing a game and we get it done. And there's many of you guys like S7 who did our PDF. Yeah, exactly. And we've got Viper that'll be coming back and getting the word out too that we're here just to, it's pretty cool. But ideas, most of the time they're playing, I'm working, or they're working on another project themselves. But we're all in our private chat room here on our Mumble server, and pretty much while we're here talking farm sim and the mods that you see coming out, what can we do, and the ideas that we can add in this time, and what can we make work for hours upon hours in the day, just bouncing ideas off each other, trying new things to see if we can get something different in the map. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the ideas here, the swamp there was completely something Andre had brought up. I think he might have even saw it somewhere else, but I jumped onto his map, and I hope he does, Andre, if you're listening. He's got to release his map to you guys sometime soon. He's got a reworked version of Goldcrest Valley that I'm sure you guys will absolutely love, all the work he's put into it while they're playing on that and waiting for me to get ready. It's a nice single-size map, but he's got the sawmills in there. He just keeps going. So you guys got to convince Andre to get his map out there for all of us to... Whoops. Close up that thing. Yeah, for you guys to play. I don't have a link. It's not mine to release. He may release... Oh, anyone knows a mod for the mixer for cows? Yep. The Marhu's site is marhu.net. Very simple. Yeah. The placeable mixing station, the seed and fert things have errors in them. Like I said, those guys have been testing that stuff, getting it ready, and it should be quite a while before I need to get them in the map. So yep, talk nicely to them. They may release it for you. I talk nice to, well, sometimes. No, but he does. I'm just telling you, he's done quite a job. He's doing it differently than I'm going to be doing this one. But he's got a lot of nice... I'm going to be... I'll admit it. I'll be opening up Andre's map when it when it comes time to start bringing objects into this one, because he's already found them for me. And start bringing some of that stuff and importing it into this one. The stuff that I think fits in the theme of this map. Which is different. He's got a lot of built-in buildings and stuff, but I want to make it so you guys can construct your own farms a little bit more this time around. So you're going to see a lot of placeables, and I want to come out with some new placeables to help you guys do that down the road too. So not as much stuff built into the map other than the necessities. Look at that sand, how it's piling up down there. It's got so much to go, but you can see that it's getting pretty thick down here on the lake bed, and I will just keep on driving it in until I can't fit anymore. The site is in German, but you can use Google Translate to translate it. And you can also, yeah, that's you got to register for that site in order to get the links, the download links on Marhu's site. What do we got? I didn't even get to the second million, and yeah, we've got so much room in that lake for sand. Where did the sand come from? The silo. I just opened up my XM save game, and I said give me 10 million sand, and I edited the silo temporarily so it has a 10 million capacity, and I just edited it through the save game so I could get this part done. But I'm not going to keep dumping it all in there right now, and I show you how we get it so that next time I start up the map we have all the sand back and we can start new. Let's jump over here and dump some more in, a little bit more, and then we'll get into the editor, because there's a ton of stuff to be done. But I've been in the editor all day long, and I needed to get out of it. There is a lot of lake down here to dump sand into. Oh, Big Daddy, you're funny. But you know what? I should bury the gold nuggets in the bottom of the lake. That'll teach them. Yeah, use the course play. They released the beta version. That might come along. I'm going to save it for now. Get back into the editor and see what we got to work on. So when you save the game and you've finished dumping all of your product into your map, what you want to do, and I will do it here just so I make sure I don't lose it, it's pretty simple. Open up your save game file if you can find it, which will be under your documents, My Games, Farming Simulator 2017, and mine is in Save Game 2. And out of all these files right here, what you want to do is there's a terrain detail height density.gdm right there. If we copy that file and go to our map and our maps map 01 folder, you'll see that there's one right here, terrain detail height density.gdm. If we paste the one from that save game where we just dumped all that sand in place of the one that's already in here, then next time we load up the game, which I will do now, just to show you, if I can, yeah, it'll come up. We'll go to save an empty save game slot. And we'll head back over to that lake. I got to get the fields marked over there so I could jump to them. But there's nothing really over there. Well, maybe a barn silo or something. But we'll head on over there, say goodbye to that mailbox as usual. And we'll show you that the sand is exactly where we left off, and it's a brand new save game. Yeah, some of these new crops, I just like the fact that you're driving around and when you see the lavender field, it adds some color to the map and some different looks to it. No mail delivery tomorrow. Yep. That funky texture thing that was going on down there is probably more than likely because the game does something when you don't save the map, load it back up, and then resave it. You get the distance textures can sometimes tend to be a little bit off. Alright, so we're going to head over to our lake, which is down through here, over the railroad tunnel, to the right. Now my silo's going to be empty because I'd have to take this current save game, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And if we drive into the lake or Wonder if we can see it. Yeah, let's drive in. You will see that all that sand that I've just put in is still right there at the bottom of the lake at a very beginning of a clean save game. Lots and lots of sand in here already, but lots more to go. I mean, I haven't even got close to this part of the lake. There's enough. I got to make sure there's enough in here so you guys don't run out, you know? So I'm not even saying 10 million. I'm figuring it's going to be about 30 million in this lake before it's at the level I want it. Lots to do. Mixing station came back up. Maybe they got their errors fixed. All right, let's go back into the map and do a little bit of that before we end tonight. What time is it anyway? It's only been about an hour and a half. All right, let's see. Here's my map. That's my silo I moved over. And there's the lake. And we have that farm has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fields there. This one's much more down in the corner, around this corner from the forest. I want to add a couple more to this one somewhere. It's kind of a smaller one. But you could see these areas. See how that whole area is blocked out? From up here you could see a different texture. That is all the, and over here, that's all area. And down this side of the road here, that's all area that you can plow out and have your own roads underneath. But it's planted grass right now. It's all dirt underneath, so you can build your little areas up as you go. Even down on the end here, lots of that texture. I'm going to go back into starting to get my trees and stuff into this corner of the map. Start figuring out how I want stuff to come together. There are certain areas that I look at and try to just visualize. Alright, this hill here definitely needs this grass on it. Try to visualize what I'm going to do with it, and if I can't think of something based on its size and everything, I will just go about building some more terrain features into it. And that's how I pretty much decide if there's a weird shape. And I try to get these tops of the hills done so we can get some trees on here. Fill in the grass areas. You don't have to be super perfect with this either on these. It's not like you're going into a field. If I took the time to make sure I was in every little nook and cranny of this, I wouldn't be done until March of 2019. So we'll just get the basic parts of the mountain, make sure we have some grass all around them. And get it all painted in so I can put the trees on it later. But what I'm really more excited about doing after I get this one done is finding out where the rest of the big mountain ranges and stuff, what areas I can start bringing in to give that feel of that I'm looking for in those larger wide open areas, how I'm going to start dividing things up and adding to the overall look of the terrain to kind of get the finished look of where things are going. And it's getting closer, but there's still some pretty large areas that just need to be finished out to see exactly how they're gonna turn out in the end. Now I want to give you guys a little bit on my, I think what's important now, everybody has their own styles and everything, but I think the more I can let you guys get into my way of thinking when I'm doing certain things might help you out when you're building your maps to visualize different things. I mean, I constantly have ideas going through as I'm even just painting the grass of what's going to be going where and here or there and how I can best use the areas that we're working on to not only make the whole area look good, but keep enough of the functional areas around it. So when I put, for instance, this mountain range in here, this whole big mountain range, it's taking up an area that was just kind of odd shaped. Nothing really easy to put a field in, but I wanted to draw it in relatively random. And as I'm doing it, I'm focusing on the areas that are around it at the same time and how what's left over is going to be used. So when we get done with painting the grass on the top of this thing, I'll kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. And just a few of the things you might want to keep in mind as you're designing your own maps, if you are designing your own map. And that is the areas around here. What are they going to be used for? Leaving enough space around this range so that we have a place where some type of building is definitely going to probably end up here with a little parking lot in front of it. So I've got a little bit of extra room at the end of that road. But also the other side to have some more areas to build stuff along the railroad tracks if we want. That's why it's set back a little bit further. There's nice flat areas around this whole section and smaller areas that we'll be able to start building some of those factories like in this small area. Not quite big enough for a field here, but I wanted to leave it because we can put a couple of things in this area as well. But then we get into areas that are like this area right here, and it's long and empty, but it's just such an odd shape that to draw fields in, you'd have to either have a really odd shaped field or you'd have to make them very small squares. But it's also the type of place, because these two roads are so close together, that I think would be good for another little area of hills or stuff. So I just simply take my radius of my circle and kind of figure out where I want to start, but make it a little bit, yeah, right about there. And I'm setting it back off the main road because the main road has a really nice flat area that we could definitely put a gas station or something on this side or another factory building. So bring it back and leave myself a little bit of room. Let's switch it to the terrain height mode, and I'm just gonna quickly just put a little bit in there and look at over here. We want to have enough room for whatever is going to go over there, and we have kind of a neat little feature with the road down below. So let's try to just sketch in a really rough idea of where I can bring a mountain range over and yet still have another little, I like the way it's working out, where we might be able to run a path up through this area as well. So I'm gonna and this is it. It's a big circle with the highest detail, and it gives you a really ugly, and sometimes I don't want it but it gives you a really ugly looking mountain, which is fine, because as we bring it out, having all that extra different levels and stuff is what's going to give us a pretty cool looking random looking mountain once we get the smooth tool on it. So we got a nice area up here, pretty well carved out, that we could bring a road in through here. Still enough area to build factories or whatever off this little side road, and maybe something there. And it adds another huge terrain feature to this map. So I'm going to jump in and grab my smooth tool now and just roughly touch the areas. So you get a lot of the detail, but it's not sharp detail in the. So I'm just tapping the areas to keep a lot of that detailed ranges in there. Some of the randomness that I like to see in our hillsides. Stay away from the road enough so that you don't ruin the smoothing on the road now that it's all leveled, because that really would suck. But also I have grass planted there that I need to remove on the top of that mountain. Build up some flat spots toward the top. Now, one of the things I love is this, and I showed you guys this before, but I like the way the levels in the terrain kind of breaks up. And you don't often get that with the taller mountains unless you make it happen. So with the replace tool, I'm going to take a little bit smaller circle, and I'm going to find a point on this hill that's, not too far up, but this one looks good, and grab the terrain height from that. And I'm going to do a replace limit higher, and that way when I go around here I can start carving some more flatter sections for planting trees on and breaking up the smoothness with some of those green areas. And you can change the values of these so that they're a little bit higher if you want to in some areas, or a little bit lower in others, and just work your way around and give it a few of those areas. Let's get rid of the grass so we can actually see what we're doing here. We don't want the grass on the hill yet, and I overplanted this area. But you start to get this odd looking mountain range. We're going to grab the smooth tool again, a little bit smaller circle, because I want to really be careful not to take out some of the but just hit those areas again to make it not look so fake, but as part of the hill. Get some extra divots in there basically. And then when you have it smoothed out like that, you just set your start slope limit to 45 degrees or 35 depending on how much rock, or 50 if you want even less. I think I'm going to try doing like 55 this time. And I'm going to set the mountain rock texture, go to terrain painting, and just start adding it in. Now, so yeah, I definitely want to go back to my 45 degree angle on here. So it will get it'll just paint those faces that are 45 angle or more, and it's so quick to put this whole mountain in that it really, actually I might even do some 35 near the top. But it's so quick to get a really cool looking mountain feature with the grass, the way I've been doing it on this map, and the way that they had it originally on the original Goldcrest Valley. And get yourself those areas. You can see how the areas I carved in earlier, these flat areas, just blend right in really nicely with the terrain now, but give you places to plant those trees on the hillsides as well. And we just needed to add a few more of them, that's all. So it's random and roughly done, but one of the cool things about these mountains too is if I do need room for factories and I can't find it, I can flatten this just as quick as I raise it up later on. So it's a placeholder, but still yet cool terrain. Let's see what we got going on. Oh, people talking about mods. Yeah. Yeah. The mods. The good old Marhu site. So if you get to areas like up here where it's not quite, I mean, it's very green, but I think that I want a little bit more stone in that area, I'll drop the angle down just a little bit lower to the 35 and get some of those higher peaks so that they have a little bit more of the, a few more of them are just getting that little touch of the stone on there just to break it up a little bit. And there you go. A nice place to start planting the grass and build trees. And we left this place here because I want to bring a, we'll go back to our 2 good starter size road. Add rough dirt, take off the slope limit so it doesn't mess it up. And I'm just going to bring in a dirt road that comes down and connects with these here, that goes up through this nice valley where we'll be able to plant some grass, and just roughly sketch it out where it's going to be. We'll smooth it out if we need to. And I might even turn it later on toward one of the sides. But I'm going to end it up here for now because there's going to be something up here probably off that whole factory. And kind of give us a nice little pass through there. So you can go down to this farm. You know, it's also a nice little area that maybe we could do something for the farm, like right up at the top here, maybe your seed, or who knows, as we need the farm. But it's there. Thanks, Jaws 2008, for the follow. We've got a nice little area there. Then I can start looking at the rest of this area. I'm going to start just trying to fill in those weird shaped areas. The swamp area is looking good. We're going to definitely have to put a lot of trees and stuff in through here. Or maybe even extend. Yeah, I think that'll be good with some trees there. And I'm going to just float around and try to find some of those areas where I want to add more detail in. And try to decide. Now this is one right here that is kind of I'm not sure what to do with. It's just one of those weird areas. I can put a field definitely off of this road. If we need a field. Do we need a field on that farm? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think maybe one more over here wouldn't hurt for that farm. So this would be kind of a good place to build one in. Paprika Sergeant, thank you for the follow as well. So what I'm going to do is crank up my radius, get myself a nice big circle. I have a kind of a ridge already in here, but near the railroad track. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the terrain height. Oops, we need to definitely switch to the terrain height tool. It would help. That's up at this level. Nice area. We'll go to the replace tool and just make sure we get the replace limit off so it actually does something. Make sure we have enough area that we can actually put a nice field in here. Not a big one, but a good enough size one that will come off of this road here. And then we'll take, for now, just for now, I'm going to grab my smooth tool and a little bit smaller circle so I can just go bring this edge down. I'm going to build something in here for sure a little bit later once I get the exact field area down. So with that, we need to have our road system, which is pretty common throughout Goldcrest Valley. And that is going to be, I'll use a square, small square, rough dirt, 2 meters wide, find a place off the field where you're going to have your starting point, or off the road. Whoops, make sure you switch to your paint tool, because you'll do what I just did, which I do that all the time. We're going to bring off the road a little bit and run our road. Check out what's on the other side. Do you want to meet up with the other side, or do you just want to have, I think in this instance I'm going to just build the field in with its little place to start the missions off of this little side here. Nothing huge. So I'll put that little place. A lot of times I'll have a road that goes all the way around, but I'm going to do something pretty funky throughout here with the mountains or the ranges around this field when we're done. So I'm not going to put the road all the way around. Doesn't need to have a lot of access. There's really not a lot of places to go other than down to the railroad tracks or over to this road here, but you know, you can get to that road another way. We'll find out. That's what this map's all about, finding your way around it. So terrain detail will come in. We have to select the terrain detail, and the radius we can make it a lot bigger and just start off where the field's going to be. And I'm just going to sketch that field in to where I think I can get away with it. You'll also want to have some room around the field for turning around. See, gives you enough room to turn your combine around at the end. Try to unload the combine with course play. I'll let you guys work the course play out. I'm going to work this field in here somewhere, and it's not going to be a huge one. I have to decide exactly where it's going to go, and just kind of square it up. I think this one might be one of those ones. One of those odd-shaped ones. I'm not 100% sure yet. Not completely odd-shaped, but there's a couple of them. Wouldn't hurt to have another one. One of those little L-shaped field type things. And the reason why I say I can either stop at a small, keep the field small and square like it is here, and work the rest of the landscape, but we're right up to the edge over there, or I can make it, and yeah, I always miss spots, I can bring it back all the way over to this side, which I think I will do, and make it one of those. Hey, you removed a thing from the Dropbox there, Mr. Swope. We'll make it all the way back to there as one of those, just one of those weird angled L-shaped fields, because it fits here. And believe me, I don't do a lot of these, but there's a few on the map already. And I just think this is one of those places where it needs something like that. And try to keep your line straight. Once you know exactly how your field's going to come out, you could start looking at the terrain around it and finishing it up a little bit. We'll get rid of that grass spot there. That's going to be a tough little corner to do right there. Somebody's going to end up on the rails. So let me get back to my replace tool, and I'm going to make this actually come right out here a little bit. Give me a little bit more room to hopefully not go over the edge. But also I'm going to connect it right up to this wall over here. Oh no, don't get too close. So that it's all one continuous little area. Then I'll get into the much smaller circle for this. You only need a 3 is good because you want to keep most of the slope. You just hit the top edge of the hill there, and you'll keep quite a bit of that slope, but not have it just completely drop off. So we'll finish that edge off a little bit. And once you go across the top, if you find the areas where you have room at the bottom, you can even click down in the crease of it and kind of give it a little bit of, just little randomness along the edge too, so it doesn't all look like it's just been plopped there. Mess around with it, see what you got. Once you have that done, we'll clean up this whole edge here. Actually, when you get edges like this that you definitely have a ridge near the edge of the field, just keep away from your road edges if you have them, but just smooth them it back nice and deep. The field will adjust. Sometimes you have to get out of view and come back in, but you want to have it smooth up here. And then I can go back to my 45-degree angle with my mountain rock texture and paint that ridge right in. We'll fill in some trees down below around the train as it winds through, just coming down through and getting into this little groove and going under it. Yeah. So that pretty much is just a little bit more of the detail as we're floating around looking for different areas. There wasn't much more I could do with that shape, and that's what adds the interesting layout of the terrain. Let's see what we got. Def Gamer says, yeah, what is he saying? All right. Well, just try to, yeah, yes, it will hurt. Remember, you don't play these maps, we do. Talking about that corner drop off there. Yeah, I think you could do it though. There's enough different angles. You can always plow out the edge of that field. One thing I like to say is the biggest common problems I've seen in new maps is the fields have a problem with straw falling through the ground. All I'm saying is to make sure the fields are checked again. Straw disappearing through the ground is because people don't know about the script right up here to create a ground collision map when you're all done, and that will stop your straw from falling through the ground. I don't have that problem. After every major edit, I've been doing that, and that is why my sand isn't slipping through the ground either. So as long as I remember to do that before the final release, everything should work just fine. But let's see what else we've got. Alright, so we've got this whole area that like I said, down below here, there's definitely got to be something going on. There's also this whole area over here, which I have a couple little off. I think I'm going to have a couple of the factories up on this plateau up here, so I'm not touching that yet either. But there's this whole section that's really long. We have so much long view distance in this area as well that there really needs to be more detail through this area, right through. Not a lot of room in between the two railroad track, the road and the railroad track. But I'm going to do another feature right through here as well. Another one of those terrain features, and we'll see what it comes out like. Just randomly add terrain height, pull in a mountain range through this area, make it as big as you want it. I'm bringing it up because the road height up here, if I could say it right, is quite high compared to down below. But it also gives you a reason to have two roads. You can also take a look. Well, there's not two roads, but the terrain. Whoa! I got carried away. Is this gonna be the quarry? Let's see. Need help with adding windrow to the rye notes. Don't know if I got the new fruit type to true or false in the fruit type line right because I'm not getting windrow. Better understanding of the attributes in that line. Oh, right. There are a lot of attributes. I don't even know. But there is a has windrow setting in the new attributes of the multi-fruit script. So I'm guessing if that's turned on and you have all the you need to have the particle effects set up for that windrow too. If you haven't messed with your particle effects, you're not going to see them. So that could be part of it as well. It should be in the oat and rye that came with the default scripts, I would think. Because they had it set up already. But there's definitely a has windrow if you're using the multi-fruit script, that is. If you're not, then I can't help anyway. Because I am. Alright. This is not going to be the quarry. The quarry is over on the other far corner. Actually, there's not really a ton of quarry. There's going to be areas, like we discussed earlier. There is sand from the bottom of the lakes. Gravel will be coming out of the quarry area, yes. Don't know what we're going to do with some of the other things yet, but we shall see. I gotta wait and see if we get enough fill types to get all that stuff. So, time will tell. But I'm putting a nice mountainous range through here, and I'm just trying to gauge roughly what I want it to look like in different areas. Now I'll smooth it out, do my smooth step, get the roughness, those circle looks that you see me put in everywhere. Just get rid of them and make sure you don't have any huge divots in it either on the top, or it kind of looks real funny, and if people climb up it they fall in a big hole. That doesn't work good either. So we'll get that smoothed out. And these are the big extra features I was telling you guys about when we first started this, that they will come. But I smooth everything out to start with just so I know where the buildable areas are and what's going to be best. As a matter of fact, and then what's going to be best for fields, and then put these bigger terrain features back in where the area isn't as usable or as easy to use. You could still make stuff. Yeah, I could flatten it, but you definitely want to get enough terrain detail in the map so it's not all just one big field if that's what you're looking for. And this is the way to get a lot of those extra things in, which I'm definitely taking a lot more time to get a lot more of those into the map this time around. Let's jump down in, because I need a smaller circle. You'll see a crease here from where the old road meets the new mountain, and I want to make sure it's not a huge dip through here. You can see where it dips in here, so we're gonna make sure we get a smaller tool, not to mess up my new mountain, but to fill in so it's not a slope down and then back up, unless you want to put a trench along the side of your road, which you could do that too. But I'm gonna just go around and make sure that one's a little close to the road. We'll leave it there. Let's paint it up. I could put some more of those flat areas, but I think I did pretty good and have quite a bit of flat areas on this. So we'll go to my paint tool with my mountain rock. You can make your cursor as big as you want because it's going to just do those surfaces as long as you don't go too crazy. It's going to be some cool scenery as you're driving through the mountains with your train. And put some trees up there later. But if I can get the rest of these mountain ranges in, then I know I'm that much closer to getting this thing on a server. Just trying to finish up the landscape and the trees and the grass. So we'll bring that in, and we got a pretty good flat area. Not bad. I prefer just to see how random it comes out, you know? If there's an area that just looks real bad to me, yeah, sometimes I'll go over it. But the fact that it's just randomly drawn in is what gives it the character, if you ask me. The character I'm looking for. You just don't even know how. I don't even know how it's. I'm not shooting for a specific look or size or anything. It's just what is it? Whatever it comes out like, it comes out like, and adds that detail in. We've got a nice slope there, and I think on this side there will definitely have to be something different through here. But that kind of breaks it up. We've got a nice road. It would be a great place to put another field or something, maybe a factory or something down on this side as well. But we've got a pretty rough spot right here I want to make sure I get rid of. And make sure it's relatively flat. I mean, I could easily flatten this out and put a nice field in here. But I'm starting to save some areas so that I know what I'm going, you know, that I have the room for all that stuff I want to put in. Yeah, there are. I'm sure there's a lot of sharp, jaggy places, but I don't want you guys to get stuck in the middle of the map. I know there's a lot of people that'll be trying to drive over those things on the first day, because I've already done it. We've got the fields, railroad. This is one of those ones where you look at the mountain range and say, you know what? I don't really need this piece here. I'm going to do the same thing, but have it almost be like it's carved out. That road is just carved between this area right here for now. And then it starts looking like you're winding through that terrain. That's about all we need right there. We'll leave enough for trees on the side of the road as well. And now it's starting to make sense why we have certain roads in certain places. So with that one, we'll smooth that down. See what we look like. You wish you could play, but you don't have Farming Simulator. Well, you've got a few months to get it. So, save up the money. Because this map isn't going to be released for quite some time yet. Because, as you can see, I've got a long way to go. But it's getting there. We're getting past the terrain part, which is should be done by next week. I hopefully will have all the mountains, grass, and trees in the map, so we can start marking the fields, and then we'll start working on adding all those extra buildings in. all the functions that you guys like on those Pleasant Valley maps, the quarry and all the different things. But yeah, it's starting to really take shape, and it blends right in with everything else. Really good blank spot up here on the field. I mean, you could see if as we're going around, there's so many fields already, but there are still so many undeveloped areas that I can utilize to add even more fields. What do you guys think? I mean, look at, let me see if I could zoom out. There's a lot of fields. Do you want more? Do you think that, I mean, this farm would be this section all the way through to here. That is one farm right there. So he's got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, something like 15 or 16 fields right there, which covers almost the size of a single size map right there. This one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Probably need to bring some fields up through here somewhere at some point. You need huge fields. Oh, you have huge fields, that's for sure. As we're going around. All the farms don't have to be equal sizes either, so I'm not opposed to having this farm be a little bit smaller than the others, because it's right near the Sand Lake, which I think that's what it's going to be called, Sand Lake, because I grew up in a town called West Sand Lake, and what I was thinking today as well is that's the north side of the map right there, and that's the west side, so that could be West Sand Lake right there. And it'd be just like my old home, although it looked totally different. So where, if I was going to build off another field, very easily right up in here could be a nice smaller square field in this area, right up to the back of the railroad track. Or possibly down off this side of, we could add one more in off this side of the lake as well, but that really would start looking like it's part of that farm over there maybe. No, I think this side would be good. That mountain range kind of separates it from that farm. So I think this would be the best place to get another nice field in, right along the railroad track down in here. And with that, we have the road that comes up along the side. I think I know what I want to do, because I do things weird. I like to do, I take what I've done, as I often do this because you just get ideas. I build this road, it goes down, it winds along this main road, but I honestly built it because I wanted to be able to cross under there, come up through the trees, and I wanted to be able to access the shoreline pretty easily, so we'll probably have your place to dig your sand out of this lake right off of this road. You're going to come in on one of these two roads. But now that it's looped around like this, and you got to stop doing that, you guys, popping those folders. You can see they're busy all the time, adding, trying things. I want to bring it back around. Let me get my rough dirt here. And it's going to kind of add a kind of interesting little loop that maybe we could put hot dog stand or something in later. No, I don't know what. A little shed right along the roadside here that it goes around the back, or some type of design feature, buildings or something in there, who knows what. But then we can come right off this side with that continuation of that road and give it another purpose, which will be to build a field in here somewhere. Let's sketch out a field. With my terrain detail, and then we'll figure out where roads are going to go. Uh, the entire water plane is not, no, actually the water plane on this map is duplicates of the water plane that are in the map. They all are set at that 80, which is the height. I don't know why yours on your map, depending on what map you used, but mine are at 80 height, and they're literally carving out pieces, and I'll give you an example of that. This water plane right here, if I highlight it, is out there, underneath the ground, but you don't have to see it all. I just want to use that one piece for that lake, the largest part. So it's just a duplicate of the in-game water plane with the parts I don't want to see are under the ground, and it's very easy to do. Then I have another one over here as well. I didn't go bother looking for a 4x water plane because I really love the water texture that's in this map this year. And I didn't want to mess around with that. So this one here goes over there, and as long as your water planes don't overlap, then you won't get any funky effects, and mine do not. But you can use them, and yes, there's water on the outside of the map, but you won't be able to see it because there's also a wall. Actually, you can't even see it, but it's in my folder. I have it turned off. There's an invisible barrier that keeps you from climbing too high up this hill to be able to look over the edge. And it is in my map plane boundaries. Let me see if I can find the one for this side here. I didn't show you guys how I put those in, did I? I just took the plane that you can create. You can create a plane shape by using the create. We'll show you very easily. Let me see. I think it has to, of course, it's always the last one you choose, right? Isn't that Murphy's Law? Okay. I have the dot on this side where I want. It's invisible, but if I turn the visibility on, you will see that you cannot go past that point on the map. And actually, I want it to be a little bit further in on this side, as long as I'm not interfering with what's down below. So I use that down the whole side. You cannot get over beyond that. It'll block you so you can't get off the edge of the map. Now, the way to do one of those is very simple. And when you turn the visibility off, you don't have to see it. But you won't be able to walk up that edge. To do one of those for your own map edges, just go to your Create Primitives plane. It'll give you a tiny little plane down at the bottom. And bring that plane to where you can see it. Control B. I gotta shut off those silly messages. It's very, very tiny. It's a very small square. But I know that my map is like, let's see, 4096 long. And we want to have it like 100. Well, you don't need 100. We'll go 50 high. And then we'll just set it on an angle like so, which will be rotating X to 90 degrees. There you go. And then I could put that on the edge of that field down on that end, and it will stretch the whole side, but it's not going to keep you in until you do two more things. You just got to go down here and click rigid body on right here, the rigid body. That makes it a solid shape that somebody will bump into. And make sure your collision box is checked, which it will. And then once you have that in place on the edge of your map, which I already have them, so I don't need it, you just simply go back to the visibility section right here and just click it off and they won't see it. And it'll be just an invisible border to keep people in. Pretty cool, pretty easily. Yes, with you tried to drive at 79 and it drowned out your truck with no water there. Water planes are tricky. Wherever you have your first water plane is going to drown anything, any land that you put below that water plane. So mine are all at 80. This is at 80. The one over there is at 80. The fact is, there is not a single piece of land on my map, other than where the water lakes are, that is lower than 80. Because if I don't even put a lake, if I was to simply go and do, and this might be I'm going to undo this, but if I say dug a hole right over here, whoops, wrong thing. Did it replace? If I had a hole right there that's at 75 feet deep, even though there's no water plane there, you will fall in and drown because the water level is at 80. And that's just where it's going to be throughout the whole entire map. So you got to make sure your lowest part of land is above that 80 or you're going to get those messages in. Now where the heck was I again? What was I working on? I just lost complete track of what I was working. Oh yeah, this field over here. So something to keep in mind when you're doing your water planes is do not make them lower, any part of your land lower than your water plane, which makes it very difficult to do flooded fields and stuff on maps all the time, unfortunately, because I kind of like those flooded field things for doing cranberry and rice and stuff. You just got to make sure you know where to do them. But we've done those so many times, we're bringing in some new things. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty good sized field. And it's going to fill in this area and get us one more field for that farm, which is slightly less than the others. Probably a farm that I'm going to have to take because I don't do as much work as everybody else on the map. If we decide to do it, or if we're all just going to run the same farms, who knows? There's so many ways to play. I did delete that hole, didn't I? Yeah, I undid it. My gosh. I've done stupid things like that before, and now that I've been drawing this field in, I'd have to smooth it back out. Now there's a big peak up here, which isn't a horrible thing, but it does raise up there, but the road is over there. I'm going to try to just smooth it down a little so it isn't terrible for you guys. It might not look like a lot in here right now, but when you get in the map, everything seems to be exaggerated. But we'll get this last field in for this farm over here. We still have room to put something up at the top of the road up there, which we will. It'll end in some sort of fashion. But I want to take my smooth tool with a pretty large circle and just try to, or square will work, just try to bring down the corner up here a little bit so that you're not climbing Mount Everest when you're trying to get that corner of this field done. Not a lot. It's not that bad, but it's a lot better now than it was. And then we'll get a much smaller square and go back to my rough dirt and get the, oh yeah, either add or replace. I'm going to just draw a little platform in here where we will start by the field and start our missions on this one somewhere close by to this corner. Actually, I probably should put it up at the other corner. We'll leave it here. You'll buy your equipment. I'll try to get it to spawn in close to this corner so you can just start your mission there. And it leaves me a little bit less space on this side, which I will figure out what to do with. It's almost like there's a road here, so something's going to be, it'd be really cool to have a nice little something or other off here or off here. But I think that we need to do a little bit of extra terrain work right through, just a little something right in here. Not a lot. But it's a good place to build up a ledge. Well, that's not exactly how high I want to go. But build a little bit of a feature right in here. Yet we'll still have the room down there to build something. And a lot of room on the side of the road. So I'm just going to do a small one right in through here. You are going to need some big machines. Well, usually you have big machines for my maps. You're going to need some small ones too. That is for sure. Because there are some tight fields. It's Goldcrest on the inside and Pleasant Valley on the out. Most of the extension farms are going to be pretty big fields. And as long as you get this to look something like you want it, one other thing I got to show you guys too, which I'll do that in just a minute. Let me not forget, is an issue with terrain draws, distance terrain drawing. And we'll paint this mountain up with some mountain rock at 45-degree angle add. We'll bring that in here, get our detail feature through here. I mean, you're really gonna, once we get the trees and stuff around these things, they really start looking awesome. But we're gonna paint this up. And this is something that does affect quite a bit, and of when you finally finish your map. Is a port in the map's future? Not on this map. There will not be a port because there's no real large bodies of water. There are several small ones, but it's going to be a different style map altogether. We did so much water in rivers that we're just going to stick to some smaller water features. Alright, so you notice I painted this terrain up, and as I back out it looks like grass. Alright, if I was to, it doesn't redraw the proper underneath textures, and a lot of this map, these areas that I have been working on have that problem. If I save this map, and I'll give you a demo because we got to go in the map anyway. I am the official map creator. Alright, how can you check if everything is above water? Your land is value of, if your water is at 80, your land values have to be at higher than 80. And anything below it. So whatever you put your original water plane at, the very first one in the map, or your highest water plane, I should say, whatever your highest water plane in the map. So you can have water planes lower than 80, but anything that's above, any of this land that's at above 80 is going to flood. So if you have, and you left click R for the replace tool, you'll see it tells me that this land right here is at 86. And you can go around the map and find your low spots, but I advise you to and just check to make sure that they are, like up there is 96. You can see it change over here. Wherever I left click R to replace the terrain value, tells me the terrain height at that point. And up on the mountaintop we get 161. But if we click down in the water, where the swamp is going to be, you'll see it's at 78. Means there's 2 feet of water in this area because the water is at 80 and the swamp level is at 78, just enough to drive in pretty deeply. So, but I recommend you put your water in the map, set your whole terrain to a flat height, build up from there if you're going to start a fresh map, and then build up where you want features and down where you want water. Basically how it works. Alright, so I saved this map, and we have that distance texture that isn't drawing in. Alright, if I go in and play this game right now, in the distance, it will look like a grass mountain because I didn't do one thing. And it's one of those giants issues that, let's just check it out and see if it actually is happening. I've seen this in other people's maps as well, which is kind of like, what the heck? Brand new save game. We'll bring it up so you can see what's going on. Take a look at some of the new things we put in there while we're doing this. What time is it? 10:26, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we'll be going on 3.5 hours already. Well, we'll be finishing up pretty soon anyway. I do just maps primarily. I will work on some tweaking things for my maps. Big Daddy that's with us, he'll be here on, I think he's going to try to do a Friday show at 8 p.m. before my 9 p.m. show on Friday Eastern Standard Time with some more modding tutorials. If I'm looking for vehicles or anything for the map specially, I usually have him do them. I've tinkered with some, but I do not create things. I've put, like the box truck that I made, and very little. The cement mixer from last year I took off and got the barrel to spin by using a 2013 script from another cement mixer, and then I put it on that frame so it could be, but so I can do that. That's time consuming just to do a mod, and I've got so much map work to do that I let him do whatever he can. And then I'll mess with those stuff. But when it comes to things to put in the map, like things that run on the fabric script, like the sawmills or the rock crusher, for instance, on PV Rivers, that was with Big Daddy's help on getting the rocks to work, but that was our creation using the fabric script to get boulders that you could lift up. So we do things like that occasionally, but only when I have to. Watch Slipgator and you'll figure out a lot of stuff. Yeah. I don't know who Slipgator is, but I do know this. Where was our mountain that is grass in the distance? And this is very simple. It's right off the side of the other side of the lake. You see how that mountain in the front is grass still? It's just one of those things. Right along that area, right straight ahead of me right now, it's still grass. Grass texture mountain. As we get closer and the mountain draws in, and it's that one right in front of me, right here, that we just did, as the mountain texture draws in, we see those areas start to fill up with the stone, but it's not like the mountain in the distance over there. It should have, and we'll back it up, it should have mountain texture where the mountain is painted, but as I back up from it, it's painting itself the distance texture back fully in grass. So there's only one simple thing that you can do, and it's very easy. And 90% of the time you'll do it by accident and not even know. Because if I was to release the map and that was my last thing I did, right there, draw that in, save it, give it to you guys, then you're going to get a map that ends up having that issue. And I see a lot of it done. So I've saved the map. We'll save it again, actually. But I didn't need to save it again. I forgot we saved it just before we did it. Let's wait till it saves. For some reason, with Giant's lovely editor, these distance textures don't reset when you draw them, but if you close the map out after it's saved, then load it back into your editor, like I'm doing right now, yes, I did the concrete mixer for Pukes there and PJeffs. That is awesome. That was my piece of work. It actually, the modeling was totally done by other people. What I had was two mods: one with a barrel, one with one with a barrel that the script didn't work, one with the barrel that was ugly, the script did work, and I had the frame that I wanted to mount it on. So I took it off the barrel off of one truck, the script from another truck to get the barrel to spin again, and then mounted it on the frame so we could have it be a so it was work. So you see, simply just exiting out of the game and coming back in, now I have right in front of me the rock textures on the mountain. So you just need to do that once and save it again, and now forever and ever, wherever I did, that rock texture will appear in the game as I drive around. Let's see, what do we got? Yes, he plans on doing a show up Friday at 8 p.m. You wonder, oh, when I would get the subscribe buttons, we need more people. Let them know I'm here. I have a subscriber feature through GameWisp if you want to subscribe. And that would be very helpful. I'll admit I've been slacking on getting the points to everybody. I will catch them all up if you're a viewer and you've subscribed in the past to get the bonus points, and we'll have a special drawing so you guys can use that when we get close to the map release like we always do. I'll make sure everybody has them, but you guys, I think, agree that you want me to do this map and get it done so you can play it, and that's my main focus rather than all the little stuff. And I really do appreciate, and we'll get the museum in here and get all the donations caught up so you're all recognized in this map as well. Definitely going to be done, but my focus is trying to do it as fast as I can for you guys so that you get to play it. And I think you'd probably like that better than me spending another 12 hours to figure out all the points right now. We'll do that when I have the time. Alright, so let me jump in. We'll take one more look at a couple of those new areas that we did before I log off, because I went overtime tonight. But I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Just to get an idea, look at that lavender. I mean, isn't that going to be just totally awesome when we get all those textures, to have something nice and bright on the fields? It's pretty cool. And I just wanted to add a little bit of color. We'll have lavender farmers everywhere. And the mustard has such a cool yellow to it too when you see it fully grown, that I'm thinking it's pretty darn awesome. We'll look for I'm looking at other crop types. I have a list of 3 or 4 more. but I need to get them to fix my fill type problem so I can get the extras in. And it's not all just going to be about combine harvesting either. I want to get some of the clovers and the luzerne or whatever those types of grasses, alfalfa, and I want to get those on your mowers. This map can now support multiple grass types as well. So we're going to look at trying to do some interesting things. We might be able to bale alfalfa for our feeds. One of the things I wanted to check, which I didn't yet, which way do I want to go? Which way do we work on the most? We put the big range down on the left down here. One of the things I need to check though, let me see if it did it or not. I'm going to go to my animal barns. It did right here. Check it out. I added it to the group for animal feed pigs and if you see right here, now you can do potato, sugar beet, or peanut. And it's just a test. I don't know if I'll leave peanut there. But I can easily add to the groupings for that type of animal feed or take out. So we're going to be throwing things like hay, grass, and maybe give the sheep alfalfa, or put in here with the grass for the cows clover or alfalfa and things like that as well. So you can mix up some of those things. Now, Marco123HD. Why do the vehicles spin out more easy on mod maps? I don't know. But Marco HD wanted to know, how would you add grapes? That's an interesting thing because we've been discussing grapes for a while now, and they did have a grape harvester. I have Big Daddy. That's one of the tasks I had put him in charge of, is to see if we can get that specific grape harvester working for this year. I don't know. He's looked at it. It seems to be quite tricky right now. We might have to pay him for that one. But here's that new mountain range we put in, so it's kind of breaking up this landscape a little bit. But if we can get... One of the things that's always been my pet peeve about these maps is not having at least somewhat equivalent of the proper harvester types for the types of crops. And yeah, I've seen maps with oranges done with a standard combine. It doesn't quite work that way when the oranges are a tree. And the grapes are on grapevines. And there is a harvester out there that can harvest the grapes. If Big Daddy can get it to work, I fully intend to get those grapes into this map, as well as olives. They will both work off the same type of harvester, and I think it will, but I can't guarantee it. We'll find out. I have a couple spots saved for grapes and olives, and if it works, it works. Yeah, you're asking because you love grapes. I just want to be able to use it with the combine type, that it's supposed to be done with. And if we can get that, then I can get them in the map, and I would love to have both grapes and olives, just because it's two unique things that you guys will be able to do. And that harvester from last year is unique in its own, so it's pretty cool. And we shall see if we can get that to work. This is going to look really different by the next time you guys see it, because I plan on having a lot more grass and trees throughout these areas. So if you come back on Friday, we'll show you again what we've got done. I think it's time now. Hopefully I can start finishing up these areas and then start bringing in the buildings and stuff. So yeah, you can see it's starting to come together. We're starting to get some landscape detail in all throughout the valley. There are some large areas, but they will start filling in, and this is really this area right through here is really a good example of everything I want to achieve throughout the whole entire map. And that is just the interesting levels and different ways. I mean, yeah, you can go off a hill. You might have guardrails eventually. We're going to get street lights and everything, but the different ways to pull stuff around the map is going to be, you're going to need to find your roads and to get to certain areas and cross through. You can cross the tracks and stuff, but there's definitely a lot more of the landscape coming into play this time with the lakes, just the whole entire layout. And this area is really getting close to where I want it to be, without all the extra streetlights and everything that will be coming in eventually, and smaller decorative objects and little buildings or whatever to fill in and finish it off. But it's looking pretty good. You have used a special attachment for a bobcat to harvest olives. I would love to be able to do things like that, or get a tree shaker to do our fruit trees this time, you know? I'd like I'm going to see if he can come up with the grape harvester. I'd like to see if we can do some different things with the orchard. I want to do as many different things that are cool. Just, you guys have been playing my maps for so long. Yeah, we do little things different here and there, but I really would like to make it, as much of it, a new and fun experience as possible for you guys. And this is that area where we have a nice little place we could put maybe a livestock sell point or something up here. And the new mountains that you got, that little pass that will come through here down to the farm. Oh, actually, that's too close for a livestock sell point, but not bad if we get like extension barns for beef like we did before. If the swine mass comes out, good little area up there for it. So it should be pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of this planning did come in because of the large fields along the tracks, so you guys will use the trains. I got a lot of these little ramps to put in to cross the tracks, but if you take a look at these fields and how many of them are adjacent or close to these railroad tracks that wind through, you're going to be able to really utilize the trains and offload your combines right into the trains by pulling them up along the fields as they wind through the landscape. All right. I think that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for everybody for showing up. NC Raiders for the $10 donation, and if anybody else donated, I thank you too. It's just that the alerts might have stopped working, and we've got a lot of new followers. Brian0169, Mythkill followed, and yeah, the list is going on. A2 Martinez, thank you for the follow. Paprika Sargent, Jaws 2008. Have a good night, everyone. Come back Friday. We'll show you some more. We're getting there, little by little.